Caitlin from Betty Petty. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. I'm Caitlin. My band is called Betty Petty, and we've been a band since late July. I live just on the other side of the lake, and we've been playing shows around LA, and just did a little bit of like a West Coast tour. That was super fun, and yeah.
Oh yeah. So how did you meet people to play with?
I should have an answer by now. A lot of just like going to shows and making friends that way. And since I sang, like I would kind of like get drunk at parties and end up like wanting to sing, which is really obnoxious. But it also like it started making me feel comfortable. And then like sometimes people would like ask me to sing a song, you know, if everyone was like sitting around with a guitar or whatever. And I started really just pursuing it, and there were a couple people that I met along the way that really like encouraged me and like told me not to put it down, that even though I was pretty green, like just to like keep pursuing it because there was something there. And it was one of those things where like I feel like if it's something you're meant to do in life, there's always going to be challenges, but there's a lot of stuff that just kind of works out synchronistically. And that definitely, it felt easy once I started. There have been a lot of times where it hasn't felt easy since then, but things kind of seem to unfold in a certain way, I guess.
Just a little bit. So where do you get your inspiration from these songs?
Yeah, so I was basically, I started playing instruments. I always kind of like messed around with piano growing up, but I had never really had like the dedication to sit down and learn and write songs. And I was just in my mid-20s, and I think I was looking at my life, and I was just like, I don't want to be old. I don't want to be like 70 and look back on my life and be like, oh man, I wish I had actually ever tried that. And you know, ukulele is a really easy thing to play. You can play a lot of chords if you're just a beginner. And you know, with like YouTube, you can kind of learn how to put songs together pretty easily. And then I ended up playing, I got asked to sing background vocals for a band that was rehearsing in Silver Lake one day, and went in and they asked if I could play rhythm guitar, and I just sort of started transitioning to guitar. And I was like, if you guys show me how, like, yeah, I'll play. And I ended up playing with that band for like a few months, and I learned a lot. And then I met the guy that I started my previous project with.
So you kind of mentioned a little bit that you get some experience from books, from literature. So what else? So what type of bands, what type of stuff really influences your sound, what you're writing?
Well, yeah, I loved listening to singers, and a lot of the shows that I would listen to I never actually saw, and so just like sort of experiencing it through people's vocals. And my favorite vocalist, you know, it could be a pop singer, it could be a country singer, it could be an indie rock singer. Like melody and vocals are probably where I get my most inspired when I listen to other people's music.
Are there any struggles unique to being a woman in music? And if so, what are they?
Well, I mean, I think just in daily life in general, like in any kind of like westernized culture, not necessarily westernized, but there are a lot of cultures where it's still hard to do a lot of things and just be seen sort of at the same level. And I don't want to be one of those people that like just like gripes on it, you know, and treats it like a handicap. But there are noticeable things, and one of the things, like I was telling you earlier, was, you know, like I'll be at a show and we'll play and people will have fun, and then if I'm standing around with other musicians from my band that are dudes, girls will always come up to me and they'll be like, great show, blah, blah. And so many times it happens, guys will come up and like they'll talk to the guys in my band and they'll kind of like not really acknowledge me, and it's just, it's frustrating because, you know, because I wrote the songs and I'm like, this is, you know, I'm like, notice me. But it's also, I don't know what's going through their heads, but it's almost like this, like, oh, well, I can't talk to this girl at the bar because she's gonna think I'm hitting on her, and it's like it's almost like trying to be respectful, but then it's not. and then just a lot of times, literally, like everyone will be sort of introducing themselves, and I'll be like in a room full of guys who are all in bands, and you just kind of get overlooked a little. And I know it's not intentional, and I know there's no, you know, maybe you just have to be a little more outgoing, I guess, and a little more willing to sort of like be like, hey, notice me, you know. Just making sure you get credit for things, and it's not necessarily that that's who it is across the board, but that to me, I think that is the biggest struggle. It's not it's not a life or death thing, but it can be really frustrating after you've played a show and you're like, you want to meet people and you want them to come up to you, but yeah, I guess the solution is just to be more forward and more outgoing. Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
I mean,
Anything that you would like the viewers to know about Betty Petty?
I guess for me, like one thing that I guess I like getting across, like when I talk to people about like how I started playing and where I'm at now. You know, I'm 28 and I started when I was like 25, and it can be really hard to like, I had to sort of like be okay with being a total amateur for a while. And I mean, I don't know if that ever really goes away when you pursue something like music or anything, you know, that's like a lifelong sort of thing. But just doing it is really worthwhile, because there's like, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing, you know, even when it's like, even when there's drama and you don't get paid, or, you know, there's no one at the shows, like being able, like knowing that there are people out there that like listen to my music, or that come to shows, or seeing people dance, or like that even like want to come play my music with me, it's just like makes me feel cool in a way that, you know, it would suck to like live your whole life and not pursue something just because you're afraid of like not succeeding at it, I guess. Yeah.